Let me start this a little differently. I'm not here to tell you you're ignorant or brainwashed or being controlled in some dramatic way. But I'm here to tell you something I learned hard way, watching politics and media up close in DC. A lot of the anger you feel every day, it's not random. And it's not really yours in the way you think it is.
Do you think people are angry today?
Absolutely, people are angry, and you can feel it.
Spraying mace, putting the lines back so.
Most of it is introduced to you, packaged, timed, and quietly replaced when it stops doing its job.
But a lot of big people went to that island.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
George Floyd protests have turned deadly today.
What do we want it?
Minneapolis police tonight as protests.
Once you notice that pattern, it's impossible to unsee it. That's what this video is about. How outrage is produced and why it works so well in America. When I was around media in DC, one thing kept bothering me. Not the big scandals, not the shouting matches on TV.
As an American as well. So calm down and let me finish.
Don't feel bad for me. I paid to do this.
Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right.
I can listen, I can hear, and then it goes into your brain and it comes out wrong.
It was how predictable everything felt. The same kind of stories would suddenly dominate the conversation. The same kinds of people would elevated or destroyed.
And a mentally ill Swedish child.
She is the Greta effect. She's causing and instilling fear.
Snowden's a traitor.
He's a terrible guy who's really set our country back.
The same waves of anger would rise and then vanish without leaving anything behind.
34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually.
At first, I thought it was just a news cycle. But after a while, it felt more like a choreography, not in a dramatic sense, in a routine sense. Like everyone already knew their role.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Here's the thing most people don't notice. You don't usually go looking for outrage. It finds you when you're distracted, waiting in line between meetings, scrolling to kill a minute. Bam, a headline, a clip, a quote ripped out of context and dressed up like an emergency.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
My background is in coronaviruses and in influenza, so immediately thought there may be human-to-human transmission.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
You didn't ask for it, but your body reacts anyway. You feel it before you think it. And that reaction, that spike, that's the whole point. Because by the time you're emotionally involved, the framing has already done its job. People like to imagine media influence as some dramatic conspiracy. That's not how it feels from the inside. What it feels like is alignment. The same incentives, the same relationships, the same quiet understanding of where the lines are. Editors know which stories create headaches. Producers know which angles trigger backlash. Reporters learn very quickly which topics come with protection and which don't. Nobody has to say don't go there. You just watch what happens to the last person who did.
They are left undisturbed for 3 days. Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out. In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid.
An outrage fits perfectly into that environment. Outrage keeps you watching, watching keeps you scrolling, scrolling keeps you predictable. And predictability is the most valuable thing in America. Because predictable people are easier to steer, easier to fool, easier to manage. Look, one of the most misleading ideas we're taught is that the news shows us what's happening. It doesn't. It shows us what survived selection. Every day, thousands of things happen that never become headlines. Not because they don't matter, but because they're inconvenient, complicated, or hard to package emotionally. Stories divide people, those travel. Stories that require patience, context, or long attention, they don't make the cut. So by the time you feel angry about something, that anger has already been handpicked. Not around truth, but around impact. Here's the part that really bothered me though. The system doesn't just shape stories. It watches reactions. what people share, what makes them comment, what keeps them engaged just a little longer. And over time, the tone shifts. Headlines get sharper, language gets harsher, everything becomes more absolute. Not because reality changed, but because the feedback demanded it. Eventually, outrage stops surprising you. You expect it. And when it doesn't show up, something feels off. That's when you realize this isn't awareness anymore. It's conditioning. Think about how many historic moments you lived through recently. How many crises felt enormous, then quietly disappeared. Not resolved, not answered, just replaced. That's not a failure of memory. It's a feature of the system. Outrage isn't meant to lead to accountability. It meant to circulate. New villain, new scandal, new anger, and same emotional energy. But when everything feels urgent, nothing is allowed to be sacred for very long. People don't stop caring because they're heartless. They stop caring because they're exhausted. This is the goal.
That regime pledged to reveal and destroy all its weapons of mass destruction.
Unstinting efforts to develop weapons of mass destruction.
There are prohibited weapons. Weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Bottom line, there were no weapons of mass destruction.
So over time, something shifts. People don't ask, is this right? They ask, is this still a thing?
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Suffering turns into content. Crises blur together. Nothing lands long enough to demand change. And once outrage becomes disposable, power doesn't have to hide very hard. Okay, but what can we do? Look, I can't disrespect you by telling you what to do. And I'm not telling you to log off either. And I'm definitely not telling you you're above this. I'm not above either. But here's what I learned matters. Speed. The system runs on speed. So the smallest form of resistance is slowing down. When something hits you and the anger comes instantly, pause. Just pause. Ask yourself, is this trying to help me understand something or just to provoke me? Real problems survive that question. Manufactured outrage doesn't. Your attention isn't neutral. What you reward, what you amplify, what you pass along, that's how system keeps running. But this machine doesn't shut down because now you know how it works. It'll still be there tomorrow, right on time. The question isn't whether you'll see it again. You will. The question is whether you'll recognize the pattern before it pulls you in. This is Control A. We'll be here when the next outrage arrives. And next, we're breaking down the American illusion of choice. Why so many options can still lead to the same outcomes. If you want to understand how that works, stay with us.